Africa's jobless rate has soared to its highest levels in 11 years. This deepens the employment crisis the country is already in. Question is, how do job seekers keep focused and stay motivated? What kinds of mental strategies do they need to adopt when chasing employment? And how do they set goals and follow them through? These are a few of the many questions that need to be answered. To help us answer them is life coach Ridwan Hanak from our Cape Town studios. Ridwan, very good to have you with us. You're going to be keeping busy, I suspect, for many years to come, sadly.
Thank you for having me.
What are the tips? Now, the employment rate is skyrocketing. How do people stay focused in this sort of situation?
I think one of the main things to do is to shift your focus slightly from having goals to having multiple intentions around those goals. For instance, a lot of people are looking for a job and they're focused on what did they study, as opposed to looking for opportunity and looking for how to, for instance, learn, how to continue growing, how to be a productive member of society. One of the biggest challenges we face in the unemployment sector is everyone is looking for people with experience. And the problem is, oh, well, how do I get the experience? And one of the best ways to do that is to volunteer. The hardest thing about it is to go, oh, but now this is my time and my effort, my energy, and why would I give that away for free? But if you think about the premium that South Africa places on experience, you could rack it up to a tuition cost and something you're just willing to invest in terms of yourself, because it puts you miles ahead of everyone else.
Doesn't this take courage, though? And how do you get the sort of courage if you are inexperienced and if you're feeling depressed?
Oh, that's a great question. It does take courage, but one of the things to look at is always what am I focused on? What is the thing that I want to achieve? So yes, I may be feeling depressed, but perhaps it means that I need to have different people around me. Other job seekers even get together, discuss what are you trying, what am I trying, what's working, what skill sets do we have. Again, the beautiful thing about something like volunteering, for instance, is not only do you gain experience, but you start to see the value that you offer just doing everyday things. Something as simple as reading something or editing something. It's a skill a lot of people have that no one really thinks about. If you think about a mom at home, she has a skill set around logistics, right? Because she's managing a household, she's managing a budget, she's looking after all the kids' activities, etc., etc. Does she necessarily think of herself as someone in logistics? Not necessarily. But if she were to be applying that skill set in the work world or in an organization, then she'd get to see the value that adds, and potentially she sees herself in a different situation, in a different career path, etc., etc.
And I should imagine once you're in, if you've plucked up the courage to walk into a job opportunity, to ask and get what you want, that once you're there, it's often very hard to get you removed unless you are an abysmal failure.
Absolutely. One of the things, though, is, again, if you come back to the idea of multiple intentions, if you have an intention not just to get the job, but also to network. So many of my clients have gotten jobs not through the company that they went to an interview with, but because they made such an impression at that company, the HR people referred them. So HR is a fairly small fraternity. So when you make a good impression on one HR person, potentially she tells one of her friends, one of her contacts, etc., etc. And so news spreads within the industry about you. The other thing is, when you make a good impression, I've had clients who roles were created for them in an organization because they made such a good impression. And so it's not only about what is available. Often companies will go above and beyond when they see what you have to offer, because people don't just employ certificate holders, they employ other people. So when you bring yourself, when you show up, that says a whole lot about you, and it's often a lot more impactful than you think. So even if you think there's no chance of you getting a job, go out there, go for the interview. If nothing else, it's practice for your next one.
Exactly, and it might open up another avenue, isn't it? And if you show that you are positive and a dynamic person, then why would anyone turn you away? Tell us how
100%.
Tell us how you would set goals in this sort of circumstance and how you make sure that you are able to follow those goals. And obviously a positive mental attitude would help. How do you get to that point?
You know, to be quite honest, goal setting in this environment is especially challenging, because one of the things that we do when we think about what goals we can achieve is we think about what we believe to be possible. And in this climate with the news and this, that, and the other, it's like, oh my word, what is possible? And so if you think about, Muhammad was quoted as saying, if only you place your trust in God, and this isn't just about God, this is, if you want to think about a higher power, the universe, whatever, but if only you place your trust in God the way you should, then you'll see that He sustains you the same way He sustains the bird. And the bird leaves the nest every morning and returns, he leaves hungry and he returns with a full belly. So consider that if we were to just at the very least leave our homes and go out in search of something. There's so many stories. In Mitchell's Plain, there's a guy in a wheelchair who runs errands and does groceries for people, and they pay him. In the States, there's a guy who walks with people. That's all he does. He's not a professional anything, but people are looking for someone to walk with, and they book him and they pay him. How many of us can walk, right? And so there's so many opportunities if we just, look out for them, and if we really trust that when I leave my home, that there's something out there for me. It's just for me to go out and seek it.
Okay, those wise words there. Let's leave it. Ridwan, Hanukkah, thank you very much.